I was already adjusting the pearl clasp on my blazer when I stepped into the Briarview Conservatory, the venue my husband's family rented for his cousin's engagement dinner. Soft jazz, floor-to-ceiling glass, white roses everywhere, one of those nights where everyone pretends they're closer than they are. My husband Nathan squeezed my hand before we walked in, but even then, I caught the flicker of tension in his jaw. He hated these events almost as much as I did. But his mother insisted, family duty, as she called it, and skipping wasn't an option unless she wanted a phone call marathon about appearances. I was barely inside when my sister-in-law Kelsey glided up to me. She was wearing her usual weaponized smile, the kind that said she'd been waiting all week to find an opening. "Cute bag, Helena," she said, eyes sweeping over my shoulder bag as if she were appraising it for resale. "Didn't know crossbody was still in." I laughed once, short and sharp. "Comfort over trends tonight." She shrugged. "Guess some of us can afford both." There it was. The first tiny crack in the evening's polished facade. Nathan squeezed my arm. "Don't bite." I didn't. I'm a 38-year-old businesswoman, a mother, a leader, social sniping doesn't move me. But then I noticed it. Her hand brushing against my bag strap when she stepped past me. Quick, subtle, unnecessary. Almost a graze. It registered, but I let it slide. I've learned that people like Kelsey can't stand being ignored, it's like denying oxygen to a flame. We took our seats. Toasts began. The groom's father rambled through a long speech about legacy and trust and keeping family close. Ironically on brand for that side of the family. Halfway through the salad course, I reached for my bag to silence a buzzing notification. The zipper was open. Wide open. I froze, not visibly, just internally. I always close it. Always. Years of being a mother, traveling for work, and having to protect sensitive documents had made it second nature. I slid my hand inside casually, pretending to adjust it. My wallet was there. My phone charger was there. My lip balm. My sunglasses. But my small silver pill case, the one I used for my iron supplements, was gone. A chill went straight through me. Not because of the pill case itself. It cost maybe $20. But because someone had gone into my bag at an engagement dinner with 200 witnesses floating around. I didn't react. I smoothed the napkin across my lap, lifted a sip of sparkling water, and kept my expression completely controlled. But when I looked up, across the table, Kelsey was watching me. Watching my hands. Watching my face. Waiting. Then she smirked. Just a tiny curl of her mouth. But enough. Enough to say, "I did something, and you'll never prove it." The groom's mother clinked her glass for silence. "Let's give a special thank you to Helena," she said loudly. "For helping Nathan land that new contract, such a blessing to the family." The whole table turned to me. And that's when it happened. Kelsey leaned over and murmured, just loudly enough for the neighboring table to hear. "Funny how she talks about integrity when she can't even keep her own belongings straight." A few heads turned. A couple of people whispered. Nathan stiffened beside me. "What is that supposed to mean?" She lifted her eyebrows innocently. "Oh, nothing, just, some people misplace things. And then make scenes. I'm sure Helena won't do that tonight." "Don't make a scene." The words hit me from two directions, Kelsey's implication, and the groom's mother hissing them under her breath like she was already preparing to side with the troublemaker for the sake of the atmosphere. I set down my water slowly. My heartbeat was steady. My face neutral. But inside, a promise was forming. If she wanted a game, I would finish it. Not loudly. Not publicly. Not in a way that allowed her to twist the story into emotional Helena overreacting. No. I would wait. Observe. Collect. And when I struck, there would be paperwork, signatures, timestamps, things she couldn't spin even if she begged. Before we moved to the next course, I glanced at the camera-facing mirror behind the bar. My reflection looked calm, controlled. But my eyes had already darkened with intent. She stole from me tonight. Not something valuable, but something symbolic. She wanted to poke the lioness and pretend she was safe behind the crowd. She wasn't. Viewers, be honest, would you have called her out right then, or waited like I did? Answer down below. And as the waiter cleared my plate, I whispered the quiet promise that would guide the rest of the night. You chose the wrong woman to provoke, Kelsey. The moment dessert was announced, the room scattered into cliques. Engagement dinners always turn into little political zones, old college groups in one corner, cousins comparing baby photos in another, the obligatory huddle of moms discussing school rankings near the bar. I excused myself under the guise of checking a work notification, though really, I needed space from Kelsey's smug orbit. Nathan followed a moment later. What happened at the table? You went still. I kept my voice level. Something's missing from my bag. He blinked. Missing? What? My silver pill case. He frowned. You sure you didn't leave it at home? I tilted my head at him, a gentle warning. You know I keep it in that side pocket. He exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. Okay. Then who? I watched his eyes drift toward the ballroom's far side, where Kelsey and her husband Tyler were laughing with a group of second cousins. She was dazzling, charismatic, arms moving like she was performing. A dangerous woman pretending to be harmless. Nathan muttered, "It better not be her." "It is," I said calmly. "And she wants me to react." He stiffened. "You're not going to, right?" "Oh, I'll react," I murmured. "Just not in the way she expects." He touched my arm gently. "Helena, don't start a war at an engagement dinner." "I'm not starting anything," I replied. She did. Still, I thanked him for checking in, kissed his cheek, and walked toward the powder room. My heels clicked softly against the marble floor as I passed the long hallway leading behind the event staff corridor. Then, a voice. Low. Harsh. Kelsey's. I stopped behind a pillar and listened. "I'm telling you, she thinks she's above us. Always walking in like she's doing everyone a favor." Another voice responded. "Probably her friend Amber, the cousin's fiance's sister. She does work a lot though." "Oh please," Kelsey snapped. "Real mothers are present. Not hiding behind a job title." I felt the words hit my chest, not with pain, but with clarity. This was the first seed. The first glimpse of her agenda. Kelsey wasn't just being petty. She was laying groundwork. Shaping a narrative. Calling me absent, arrogant, detached. Amber whispered, "What if she heard you?" "I hope she does," Kelsey said, laughing. "Maybe she'll finally understand she's not the center of everything." My hand slipped into my pocket, brushing my phone, but I didn't record anything. I wouldn't stoop to evidence cloning. The master prompt inside my own head reminded me, no video recordings, no tapes, no envelopes. If Kelsey was weaving a story, I would counter it with facts she couldn't manipulate. I walked into the powder room with calculated timing, enough that I'd appear to have been nowhere near their conversation. A few women were fixing their makeup, and they stepped aside politely when I approached the sink. That's when seed number 1 fully bloomed. My bag, closed earlier, was now unzipped again. And inside it, tucked neatly where the pill case had been, a folded place card from the engagement dinner. Not mine. Not Nathan's. Not anyone at my table. The name read, Grace Dalton. I frowned hard. Grace was the bride-to-be's cousin. She'd been seated 2 tables away. And there was absolutely no reason her place card should be in my bag unless someone intentionally planted it. I whispered under my breath, "What game is this?" There was no writing on it. No message. No mark. Just her name in gold script. But it was a signal. Someone wanted to create confusion. Or suspicion. or to make it look like I had gone snooping through other guests' belongings. Kelsey's voice rang faintly outside the powder room, drifting down the hallway. Oh, she's been acting off all night. I don't want to say she's unstable, but... Unstable. There it was. The reputation smear forming before my eyes. I slid the place card into a hidden interior pocket of my bag. I wasn't losing track of this. Not for a second. When I stepped back into the hallway, the atmosphere had shifted. A couple of relatives glanced at me with that subtle, pitying look. The same look people give when they've been fed a story and don't want to admit they believed it too quickly. And standing near the champagne tower? Kelsey. Holding a fresh glass. Looking victorious. She tilted her head, lips curling as she called across the room. Helena. Everything okay? You look flustered. I smiled warmly, because nothing enrages a saboteur more than serenity. I'm perfect, I said. But behind my calm expression, another promise formed. One colder than the first. If she wanted to poke at my reputation, I'd let her. Because soon, I'd show the entire family who was actually unstable, and I wouldn't need to raise my voice to do it. The engagement dinner shifted into its circulate and congratulate phase, everyone drifting between tables, hugging people they hadn't spoken to in a decade, pretending the bloodlines were stronger than the grudges. I moved through the room deliberately, greeting relatives, keeping my steps measured, my voice even. I've learned that the calmer you appear, the more it unnerves the person trying to provoke you. But Kelsey was hovering. She didn't come close, she never does when she wants deniability. Instead, she stayed within sight, orbiting me with that smug confidence of someone who believes she's already won. Each time I turned, she was whispering to a new person. A quick glance. A pitying nod. A fake sigh. She was building a narrative brick by brick. And then seed number 2 fell into my hands so abruptly it almost felt staged. I was speaking with Nathan's Aunt Marjorie, a gentle woman who always smelled faintly of lavender lotion, when she hesitated mid-conversation. Sweetheart. I'm so sorry if I'm out of line, Marjorie murmured, but I heard you had a moment earlier? A moment? I repeated. She flinched. Oh, well, Kelsey mentioned you lost something from your bag and were upset. I nodded slowly. I wasn't upset. I simply noticed something was missing. Oh, good, Marjorie said with relief. She made it sound like, a panic episode. A cold line slid down my spine. A panic episode? That was new. And calculated. I reassured Marjorie gently, it wasn't her fault. People like her are exactly who Kelsey tries to influence, kind, empathetic, easily swayed by someone who speaks in hushed, concerned tones. I moved on, but inside, the map of the conflict was sharpening. Then, near the dessert table, I saw the next blow land. My purse, my actual handbag, was sitting on a chair where I hadn't left it. That alone was enough to make my pulse tighten. I approached it slowly, watching the room, watching who noticed me noticing it. When I lifted the flap, something slid out. A small lavender satin pouch. Not mine. Inside it? A pair of diamond stud earrings. Very real. Very expensive. And absolutely not mine. I looked up sharply. And across the room, Kelsey froze. She recognized the pouch. More importantly, she recognized that I knew she wanted people to think I'd been stealing. A chill passed through the nearby cousins as I held the pouch in my hand. The tension rolled like a quiet storm cloud over the dessert table. And right on cue, the bride-to-be Hannah rushed over, pale. I think those are Grace's earrings, she whispered urgently. She's been looking everywhere for them. She thought she lost them during the photos. Grace. The same name on the place card planted in my bag. The coordination was becoming unmistakable. Hannah looked horrified as she glanced between me and the earrings. I met her eyes calmly. Someone put these in my purse, I said. She swallowed. Who? I let the silence rest for a full, intentional second. I don't make accusations without proof. The color drained from her face, not because she thought I had done it, but because she realized someone else was manipulating the night. Across the room, Kelsey whispered something sharply to Tyler, whose expression tightened into the defensive rigidity of a man who knows something is spiraling out of control. But as I slipped the lavender pouch into my closed hand, I made another decision. I wasn't confronting her yet. I was collecting. Observing. Letting her trap herself. The DJ raised the music slightly as dessert plates clinked and champagne bottles popped for the engagement toast. But the energy around me had shifted. Side eyes. Nervous glances. People trying not to reveal they'd already heard whispers. I didn't care. Because now I had two seeds. The overheard smear about my instability. The planted earrings paired with the planted place card. Someone was escalating quickly, and sloppily. And then the moment that sealed my resolve arrived. As I headed toward Nathan, I passed by two cousins whispering near the floral arch. Cousin number 1, I heard she was rummaging through other people's bags. Cousin number 2, Kelsey said she's been under a lot of stress, maybe she snapped. Snapped. Another word chosen specifically to wound. Another brick laid in the narrative Kelsey was rushing to build. I didn't stop walking. Didn't look at them. Didn't flinch. Inside, a quiet steel settled into place. If Kelsey wanted to escalate to character assassination, I would escalate to documentation, and consequences she couldn't charm her way out of. I approached Nathan and leaned in. Things have shifted, I whispered. Keep your eyes open. He studied my face. What do you mean? Someone's framing me. And they're rushing. Who? You already know who. His jaw set. Tell me what to do. Stay calm, I said. And stay close. I glanced toward the patio doors, the moonlight gleaming on their glass surface. Because now, the proof hunt was officially underway. And I wasn't leaving this venue without the one thing that would end Kelsey's smear campaign for good. Viewers, if someone framed you with stolen jewelry at a family event, would you confront them immediately or wait for undeniable proof? Answer below. I stepped out onto the conservatory's side patio, letting the cool night air steady the heat rising in my chest. Inside, the engagement dinner buzzed with champagne, soft laughter layered over whispers that had my name in them. Kelsey's smear campaign was picking up speed, but so was my focus. Nathan joined me a moment later. Tell me what's going on now. I opened my hand and showed him the lavender pouch. His eyebrows shot up. That's not. No. It's Grace's. And it was in my purse. He swore under his breath. She's framing you. She's rushing, I corrected. And rushing people leave trails. Nathan leaned against the railing, thinking, scanning the windows where Kelsey's reflection flickered in the glass like a ghost haunting her own bad decisions. So what's next? Proof, I said. Real, undeniable proof. I wasn't going to rely on hearsay, on emotions, on cornering her in a bathroom like the amateurs do. I needed something she couldn't spin even if she begged. And that's when the opportunity walked straight into my hands, literally. A waiter stepped outside holding 2 champagne flutes. Mrs. Hartwell? Someone inside said to bring these to you. I froze. Mrs. Hartwell was Nathan's mother, Elaine. I'm not Mrs. Hartwell, I said. The waiter blinked. Oh, sorry. The woman who asked me to bring these said you were waiting here for privacy. His expression tightened, like he knew he'd done something unintended. She said she just spoke with you. I lifted one brow. What did she look like? He hesitated. Short blonde hair, blue dress. Kelsey. She was setting up another scene. I took the champagne flutes, handed them back. You didn't see me. You never delivered these. The waiter nodded nervously and vanished inside. Nathan exhaled hard. She's trying to isolate you. Set you up for another accusation. Yes, I said. Which means she's not finished planting things. I turned back toward the glowing ballroom, and that's when I saw it. Near the gift table, sitting just slightly out of place, was my handbag. Again. Someone had moved it. Again. And this time something was sticking partially out of the side pocket, bright, white, and rectangular. I crossed the room with the steady composure of a woman walking into a board meeting. My heels clicked in slow, decisive taps that sliced through the noise. When I reached the bag, I didn't touch it immediately. Instead, I scanned the room. Kelsey stood near the dessert bar, fake laughing too loudly, her eyes flicking toward me and away, then back again. Tyler looked sick. Grace was crying quietly in the corner while Hannah comforted her. She must have learned her earrings had been found. Everyone's emotions were rising. Mine weren't. I slipped on a pair of thin black gloves I kept in my coat pocket, old habits from traveling with confidential documents. Kelsey's eyes widened slightly. Good. Then I lifted the white rectangle out of my bag. It wasn't a note. Not a card. Not a receipt. A medical proxy update. My name on it. My signature, forged beneath it. Granting Kelsey temporary decision-making authority in the event of incapacitation. I stared at it for a long second, the room blurring around me. This was worse than petty sabotage. Worse than smearing me. Worse than stolen earrings. This was calculated. Premeditated. Insidious. Nathan choked out, "Is that?" "Yes." My voice stayed flat. Controlled. Deadly calm. "It's a forged medical proxy note. She planted it to make it look like I forged her access so she could claim I'm manipulating the family, or to create a trail of instability. Either way, this is felony territory." He went pale. "What do? We don't confront her," I said. "We confirm. Because something was wrong. Deeply wrong. There was no reason for her to go this far over petty jealousy, unless she needed leverage for something bigger." I slipped the forged proxy into the same interior pocket that held the place card and the earrings. A quiet archive of her undoing. Then I approached the event coordinator, Michael, and asked him a seemingly simple question. "Do you keep a keycard log for staff-only areas?" He blinked. "Yes. Only staff have cards, but we monitor all entries." "Has any guest entered unauthorized hallways tonight?" He hesitated. Checked his tablet. Frowned. "Actually, yes. A guest keycard was scanned in the staff coatroom corridor. Which shouldn't be possible. Can you show me the name linked to that badge?" A moment passed. 2. 3. The screen reflected his widening eyes. Kelsey Nolan. Timestamp 7:42 p.m. Staff corridor access. A slow, electric calm filled my chest. This was the unique, undeniable proof I needed. Not forged by me. Not gathered by trickery. Not a recording or a camera. Just a simple keycard log. Cold. Factual. Indisputable. Nathan looked at me with equal parts horror and admiration. "What now?" he whispered. "Now," I said, lifting my chin, "we let her talk. And the more she talks, the worse her fall will be." Inside the ballroom, Kelsey twirled a champagne flute, blissfully aware of none of it. She thought she'd framed me. But in reality? She had documented her own crime. And I was about to use it. When I walked back into the ballroom, I didn't head toward Kelsey. I didn't need to. People like her implode on their own if you give them silence, pressure, and an audience. And she already had all three. Nathan stayed close at my side, his expression unreadable, protective but simmering. He knew what the keycard log meant. He knew the forged medical proxy wasn't just petty sabotage. It was serious. Dangerous. It required planning. And the moment I approached the family cluster near the dessert table, the room shifted. Conversations dimmed. Heads turned. Kelsey's glittery smile faltered ever so slightly. Then she recovered and stepped forward, voice pitched high with faux concern. "Helena. There you are. Are you feeling any better? We were all worried, you know." Gaslighting. The classic opener. "I'm excellent," I said calmly. "But you seem nervous." The twitch in her eye told me I'd scored a hit. Her voice sharpened. "Nervous? Why would I be nervous?" "Oh," I said, keeping my tone pleasantly neutral, "usually when someone spends their entire evening whispering about me, they're compensating for something." A ripple went through the crowd. She heard it. She felt it. Kelsey laughed loudly, too loudly. "Whispering? No, no, no. People were concerned. About you. Losing things. Acting erratic. Maybe overwhelmed. You know how these events can be." She dragged up the last word like I was some fragile little ornament cracking under pressure. I smiled. "Oh? Is that the story you've been telling?" A few cousins shifted uncomfortably. Hannah bit her lip. Grace stared at her empty earlobes. Kelsey lifted her chin. "Story? Helena, don't make this dramatic. You misplaced a few things, maybe someone's earrings got mixed up, mistakes happen. But accusing people. I've accused no one," I cut in. "Yet." Silence. Even the jazz quartet seemed to quiet. Kelsey blinked. "Yet? What is that supposed to mean?" "It means," I said, "I've been letting you talk. Letting you build your version of tonight. Letting you underestimate me." She scoffed. "Oh God, Helena, this conspiracy thing again? Nathan, control your wife." That did it. Nathan stepped closer to me, not her. "Don't speak to my wife like that," he said, voice low, firm. Kelsey's face flashed red. "Wow," she snapped. "So now you're both attacking me? Because she can't keep track of her own things? Because she wandered into the staff corridors earlier? Yes, people saw you, Helena." Ah. There it was. Her bluff. She thought she could pin her staff corridor entry on me. "A staff corridor?" I repeated. "Yes," she hissed. "People saw you. So don't you dare." "No one saw me," I said quietly. "Because I wasn't there." She hesitated, only half a second, but enough. Enough for the surrounding family members to catch the crack in her voice. I let the silence stretch before delivering the blade. "But you were." Her eyes widened. "What are you?" "No, I wasn't." "The venue coordinator keeps a keycard log," I said, enunciating each word slowly, deliberately. "Every staff-only door tracks entry. And only one guest accessed those corridors tonight." Her breath hitched. Tyler grabbed her wrist instinctively. "I don't, keycard? What, this is ridiculous." Timestamped at 7:42 p.m., I continued. "Under the name Kelsey Nolan." Gasps. Whispers. Aunt Marjorie covered her mouth. Grace's face drained of all color. Kelsey stuttered, That's a mistake, someone must have." "Forged your access?" I asked softly. "Funny. That's exactly what you tried to frame me for." I reached into my bag, slowly, ceremonially, and removed the folded medical proxy document. I didn't unfold it. I didn't wave it around. I simply held it between two fingers. "This," I said, "was planted in my purse. With my forged signature. Granting you decision-making authority." A ripple went through the room, fear, confusion, disbelief. The venue lights dimmed into their final golden hue as the engagement dinner wound down, but the energy in the room had shifted completely. Conversations no longer orbited around champagne or floral centerpieces, they orbited around Kelsey. Around what she'd done. Around the quiet, devastating truth finally revealed. Nathan wrapped his coat around my shoulders as we stepped into the foyer. "You handled that better than anyone else in this family ever could have," he murmured. "I handled it the only way she'd understand," I said. He nodded. "Not with yelling. With facts." "Exactly." We drove home without music. Silence was enough, a warm, steady silence that only happens after the storm breaks and you're standing upright. As soon as we got home, I scanned a forged medical proxy and attached it to an email addressed to my attorney, Lydia Cormick. Lydia didn't need dramatics, she needed documentation. I included photos of the planted items, timestamped notes, and the venue's official keycard log. 5 minutes later, Lydia called. Her voice was razor calm. "Helena, you did the right thing. This isn't petty misbehavior. This is fraud with intent to manipulate medical authority. I'll file immediately." "Will there be backlash?" I asked. "There will be consequences," she corrected, "but only for the right person." And she was right, because by morning, the consequences had already begun. The consequences. Before sunrise, I received a text from Nathan's mother, Elaine. "I am horrified. I had no idea Kelsey was capable of this. I'm so sorry." Then another from Hannah. "Grace is okay. She wants to thank you in person for clearing her name." Then Tyler, surprisingly. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I'm getting her help." I should have seen the signs. The family group chat, normally cluttered with birthday emojis and baby photos, went strangely quiet. Except for one final message from Kelsey herself. "You didn't have to ruin everything." I stared at it for a full minute before replying. "No, Kelsey. You did that on your own." And I blocked her. Because boundaries aren't dramatic, they're necessary. The families shift. At the next family gathering, Thanksgiving planning at Elaine's house, the shift was undeniable. No whispered side-eyes. No pitying glances. No quiet questions about my stability. Instead, relatives came up one by one with soft hand squeezes and simple acknowledgments. "You kept your head. You protected all of us from something dangerous. You didn't escalate, you documented." That last one mattered most. I wasn't the woman Kelsey tried to paint me as. I was the woman who protected her reputation without ever raising her voice. Nathan's cousin Grace hugged me tightly, her earrings, real ones, glinting under the lamp. "You saved me from being the scapegoat," she whispered. "Thank you." "You don't owe me anything," I told her. I didn't do it for thanks. But still, it warmed me. The rebuild. A week later, I walked into my home office with a sense of finality. The walls were lined with project boards, my calendar peppered with deadlines and leadership meetings. It used to feel purely professional. Today, it felt symbolic. I cleared a shelf, just one, and placed a new framed photo of our family of 3, me, Nathan, and our son Caleb, laughing at the beach last summer. A reminder of what mattered. A reminder of who I protect. A reminder that no one gets to rewrite my story. Then I opened a fresh binder labeled Family Boundary Protocol, 2025. Inside, the first page held the scanned medical proxy Kelsey had forged. The second page held the venue's keycard log. The third page held Lydia's formal filing receipt. Not as trophies. Not as vengeance. But as documentation. Proof that I don't need loudness to win. I win by staying steady. By being precise. By being unshakable. Later that evening, Nathan brought me a cup of coffee and leaned on the doorway. "You okay?" he asked. I smiled. "Better than okay. I feel reset." He stepped forward and kissed my forehead. "I'm proud of you." And as we stood there, quiet, steady, united, I realized something important. Kelsey had tried to steal small objects to create big chaos. But what I reclaimed was bigger than anything she planted. My peace. My reputation. My boundaries. And those were never hers to touch.